Alright everyone, welcome back into another NFL DFS video. Going to be breaking down the Sunday Night Showdown here for you guys between the Washington Commanders and the Seattle Seahawks. Let's go in and get into it. So I do want to start off here with the game total here, guys. So 48 and a half or 0.1 total points on average there. Point spread, 3-point spread. Now that's a little bit shocking to me. I think that's rooted in them expecting Jaden Daniels to just play extremely well in this game without Terry McLaurin, which is really the most difficult part about this slate is trying to figure out which receiver is going to be the receiver number 2 here for the Commanders. And if we look at it, guys, obviously Deebo Samuel probably going to be the top pass catcher for the Commanders, probably going to be one of the top plays for Washington. If this game is indeed going to stay that close, he's going to be, probably the top play for the Commanders aside from Daniels, who could end up being the top play for the Commanders. It just depends on what he does rushing wise. Does he score a rushing touchdown? I think the safer bet is going to be with Deebo, but also I think if you're playing Deebo, you also are probably trying to get to Jaden Daniels. So those are kind of the two priority plays here for the Commanders. From there, Zach Ertz as well. You would expect his target share to go up a little bit more there as well. He did end up playing a lot more snaps than kind of he has throughout the season, guys. So 62% of the snaps and then 72% route share. So he ended up with 6 targets, 4 receptions, 16 yards. Really not terrible there. I do like getting to him. This is a good matchup for him. That's kind of it in terms of predictable outcomes. Like Bill, Krosky, Merritt, I don't necessarily love. On the last slate in which we got the Washington Commanders, guys, I gave you guys Jeremy McNichols as a play. If you guys remember, I gave you guys a potential GPP winning lineup depending on which contest you guys enter. You could have made one little switch to the lineup as well, where you had to swap Rice and Mahomes. Rice in the captain spot instead of Mahomes. I gave you guys Mahomes instead of Rice in the captain spot. But a play that I told you guys that I really liked considering his price tag was Jeremy McNichols due to the game script that I saw occurring, where it was going to be a game where Washington was playing from behind. Thus, it'd be a Jeremy McNichols game. I do think that the Seahawks are going to win, and they could end up winning by a decent amount. They're coming in off a bye week. That typically helps, and Washington just hasn't looked good, and they're losing Terry McLaurin. And on top of that, you could argue that McNichols has potentially looked better than Bill. Bill ended up playing 58% of the snaps, but only 38% route share. McNichols had a 41% route share, guys, and 42% of the snaps. I would take that split for them at the price that we're getting McNichols at. Okay, but that's more of a game script bet. If you think Washington's going to win, you would obviously want to get to Bill a little bit more. Okay, so it is a little bit game script dependent. Bill is much more of a big play type running back. I guess so is McNichols, but a little bit more of a floor there in the receiving game. And then from there, the biggest question is what to do with these Washington Commanders receivers after Deebo, obviously, right? And so I'm just going to pull up the data and show you guys what it tells us here for this game. So it's telling us Luke McCaffrey is the second best option here for the Commanders, receiver-wise. I don't know if I agree with that, but then Chris Moore, basically the exact same, guys. And then Jalen Lane, not too far off. I mean, he kind of is. He's at about 4 if we round up. Chris Moore, 5.5, and Luke McCaffrey, 6. So obviously that's how you should be prioritizing them. But when we're looking at the salary, we're getting Chris Moore at the cheapest cost. And to me, it naturally makes sense for him to go back to the outside receiver role with Terry McLaurin out. I think we could end up seeing him get more snaps. And that's kind of what I want to bet on there then. Maybe you get to Jalen Lane instead. Luke McCaffrey's a bit priced up there. So that's where I'm like, I think I want to get to Chris Moore. If we get some news before game time, obviously we can adjust there. And we would want to be paying attention to that. We should get some sort of indication as to which receiver is actually going to start and replace McLaurin. Right now, we don't have that. And then we get into Seattle, guys. So Seattle is going to be much easier. I think Sam Darnold gets a great matchup here. I think we want to be targeting him in this spot. And he's looked good. I mean, Sam Darnold has looked so good this year, guys, especially with JSN obviously playing extremely well. So those two are kind of just must plays on this slate, and that should make the slate a little bit easier. From there, we do have some question marks. Cooper Kupp is currently questionable, guys, which is why we are seeing the line for Horton be pretty darn high, 32 for his receiving yards, and then we also have about 2.5 receptions. So when we're looking at the projection data, Cooper Kupp 10.5, Torrey Horton 7. And so we're getting Horton at half the price. He's already already some that could potentially be in play, but I do think a lot of his prop bets that we are getting, guys, and the projections that we are getting are somewhat rooted in the potential that Cooper Kupp could end up sitting. But to me, if he ends up sitting, I think we'd actually see Arroyo get a little bit more work as well. The issue with him is that the snaps haven't necessarily been there. They've actually decreased over the past 2 weeks. That being said, if Kupp were out, I think we could actually just see him play in a little bit more of a slot role with AJ Barner still on the field. Now, that being said, AJ Barner has been pretty darn productive lately, minus the last game against Houston, but the snaps were there for him. So I do think we want to be into AJ Barner there as well. I would rather get to him than Zach Ertz when we consider the pricing difference. Okay, so ends up being not a terrible spot for us to get to. And then for Seattle, it is truly a guessing game between Kenneth Walker and Zach Charbonnet, guys. Like, honestly, flip a coin and go with it. Everyone that's watching kind of thinks Kenneth Walker is better. I would agree with that assessment. That would be my approach there as well. And so if we get news that Kupp is indeed going to sit, I do think the lineup process is pretty darn simple. This is what we'd be looking at. Maybe you'd want to get to Debo again. I understand that. That'd be fine. But this would be kind of, I think, what would be making our lineups shape out to be. And then let's just say that we get news that he is going to be active, then we would want to adjust. I would like to get to like a lineup like this where we're still getting Darnold in the captain spot. Just not as easy to get there. What you could do instead is just go to Jalen Lane instead. Hopefully he ends up getting at least 40% of the snaps, but not a terrible look there. That's enough of my thoughts. Let's go and get into what the data is telling us is going to be a good lineup approach to go with. And so guys, as always, I'm just going to do kind of a simple run here. We're going to do 5 lineups, see what it's telling us is the best lineup. And again, the last game for Washington gave you guys one that, for me, ended up finishing second place. Depending on which contest you entered, could have easily won had you guys used that, or you could have done a simple slight switch. So it is kind of agreeing with some of the lineup approaches I'm getting with. That's what we're instantly seeing here, guys. The top build, however, Daniels, JSN, Debo, kickers. I'm never going to touch on the kickers, guys. Typically, they're always in play, just as an FYI. That's why I typically don't spend too much time on it. And it is a little bit of a guessing game. It is getting Horton. You could easily switch to Chris Moore if you needed to, and then AJ Barner. So AJ Barner is looking kind of like a lock play on the slate. I like getting into Zach Ertz, but we're not getting to him at all. So kind of interesting there. Horton actually wouldn't be a terrible captain's play if Cooper Kupp is indeed out. I don't know if I necessarily want to get to them in a lineup together, which is what we are currently seeing. Like for this, I think I'd rather switch to Zach Ertz, who's at a similar price tag to Cooper Kupp. So not terrible there though. That's going to do it though for this video, guys. Leave a like, subscribe to the channel. That does help out the channel a bunch. If you guys would like access to any of the tools that you saw throughout this video, make sure to head on over to 9to5sports.com. Sign up there, guys. Plans are available for just $10 a month. Gives you access to all the tools available on the website. Again, low monthly cost for just $10 a month. Good luck, and as always, let's keep cashing.